future world conflict?
We don't have to look to the future. China is already acting very skillfully in dismantling the monetary system. The Bretton Woods Accord gave birth to the International Monetary Fund. And the International Monetary Fund, strangely and mysteriously so, prohibited the use of gold as money. Why? Answer: if gold remains in the market as money, then the bogus and fraudulent monetary system that the Western world was trying to introduce to the world would not survive, because good money drives away bad money. So they were able to maintain their grasp, their grip over the money system of the world for all of these years, because they were successful in keeping gold out of the system. Prohibited to use gold as money. China came along and said, China is now the largest customer of Saudi Arabia, surpassing the United States. And China is saying to Saudi Arabia, we are prepared to pay you for your oil in Chinese yuan. And when we pay you in the yuan, you can then redeem that yuan for gold. So China is not in violation of the IMF. No, it's very skillful. But if the Saudis agree that China can pay them in yuan, and then the yuan is redeemed to gold at the market rate, whatever the market goes, that's the end of the petrodollar. So China is playing a strategically important role in asserting itself in a world order that will be post petrodollar. I confine my comments to the monetary challenge from China, but there are more. There's more to what China is doing than simply a challenge in the monetary world.
There is one big question there to be asked. When we are speaking about the rulers of the world, about people who are imposing hunger, sickness on other people, what is the nature of their evil? How did that evil came to be?
Eschatology has an answer for the evil in the world today. Those who control power in the world are an evil people who use power to oppress relentlessly. They are an evil people who employ deception. They give their word, and you'd be a fool to accept their word. The United States gave its word when the IMF was established, that the US dollar can be redeemed for gold at $35 an ounce. Central banks can do it, individuals could not. They gave their word. This is international law. In 1971, Richard Nixon said, we gave our word, but we don't have to keep our word. We gave our word, but we don't have to keep our word. They reneged on their obligation under international law to redeem US dollars for gold at $35 an ounce. Who are these people who give their word and then break their word? Who are these people who use power to oppress these people? There are many people in the United States of America, many in Britain, many in France, who think the way I think. And they are horrified at the way the governments behave, horrified at the things that their armed forces are doing. But there is a secret group within who control power. Who are they? The answer comes from the Quran. In the Quran, Allah speaks of a town. And when I speak on Wednesday night at the University of Belgrade, I'm going to expand on this. The Quran speaks, inshallah, the Quran speaks of a town. It does not identify the town, no. But it says that it is a town or a city that the Lord God destroyed. He expelled the people of the town. He banned them from returning. They can never return to reclaim that town as their own until a certain moment in time, until Gog and Magog are released. And after they are released, they spread out in all directions. And they have an indestructible power. Only the Lord God can destroy them. And with that power, they impose the world order of Gog and Magog. They are a people who use power to oppress. When that happens, then these people will be brought back to that town from which they had been banned, and they could never return for 2,000 years. There could be only one town, only one, and it is Jerusalem. So when you see, after 2,000 years, the Jews being brought back to Jerusalem to reclaim it as their own, those who bring them back are Gog and Magog. That is the eschatological answer to the question, who are these people who are so evil in their conduct and who are so powerful in the world today?
Well, what is the ontological nature of their evil? Where did it came from?
The Quran answers that question as well. In Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran, there is a story of someone who is a great traveler, and he travels to two ends of a land, of a territory, and on one side he comes to a body of water which is dark and murky, and our commentators of the Quran are all agreed it's the Black Sea. The Black Sea. And then he travels to the other end, which will be the Caspian Sea. But then he travels in a third direction. This Zulkarnain is his name. Zulkarnain means someone who impacts on two ages or two generations. So the first time, he makes a third journey. And there is a range, a mountain range called the Caucasus Mountains. And in between there's only one pass, only one. It's called the Dariel Gorge. And there he came across a people who said to him that Gog and Magog are committing acts of facade, corruption and destruction of our land. Can you help us? Can you build a barrier to block this pass? And he agrees to build a barrier. So Gog and Magog are human beings. Human beings. They're resident in that territory, which is north of Georgia, across the Caucasus Mountains. History says that they're called the Khazar. These people are specially created by the Lord God with an indestructible power. Only He can destroy them. But they use that power to oppress. They use that power in a way which is wicked and evil. When we saw part of that Khazar people convert and become Jews. We thought the Jews were people who were genetically the same with the Arabs. Some came from one father, Abraham. So they are genetically linked to each other. But these European Jews have no genetic links with Abraham. No. So a European people become Jews. These are the Khazar. And then part of that community of European Jews converted from Judaism to Christianity. And so you have Khazar on this side of the fence, who are Jews, and Khazar on this side of the fence, who are Christians, and they bring about the Judeo-Christian alliance in Western Europe.
What made Khazar so powerful was their use of usury and banking. By Islamic theology, banking is a sin in the way that Khazar see it.
I am not aware of Khazar history to such an extent. I have read only that book, that famous book by Kunstler, The 13th Tribe. Yeah. But yes, the European Jews, Khazar Jews, and the European Christians, Khazar Christians, who formed the Judeo-Christian Zionist Alliance, they have given to the world this banking system, which is based on usury. And they have given us the monetary system, which is also based on usury. So they are the architects of a world order today, monetary world order today, based on usury. You're correct.
Usury is a great sin.
It is not only a great sin, it is a sin for the Christian. It's a sin for the Jew. It's a sin for the Muslim. But my sadness, and I have to share with you my sadness today, is that not only has the world of Islam, many Muslims, forgotten about usury. They don't have much knowledge about it anymore. But so many Christians also have lost consciousness of usury, that it is a great sin. And they engage in borrowing and lending money on interest without any problems, without any problems of faith, none. For the Jew, of course, the Torah has this curious statement that it is prohibited for a Jew to lend money on interest to another Jew.
But to another Jew, just.
Yeah, it's still there in the Torah. It is prohibited for a Jew to lend money on interest to another Jew. That is still there in the books. But curiously so, somebody went with a pen and wrote for himself that you can lend money on interest to those who are not Jews.
How do you view the modern Turkey of Recep Tayyip Erdogan?
In the Turkish countryside, Islam is still alive. Yes. In the cities of Turkey today, there is wine and there is pork, and it's like Babylon in many of the cities of Turkey. But the Turkish countryside still has Islam in it. And the heart of the Turkish Muslims beat for Islam. It is just that they have not as yet had the kind of leadership that they need to guide them on the right path. At this time there is an immense battle for the heart of that part of Turkey, which is Muslim. The battle is between a Sufi movement led by Fethullah Gulen, and he is in Pennsylvania, and Erdogan, who used to be his friend and colleague once upon a time. I prefer not to comment on this interesting struggle taking place in Turkey, because I consider both of them to be misguided.
Both of them to be used by the West.
Both of them to be misguided. I don't want to use any more terminology. This is enough.
Also, the problem is that currently Turkey is a NATO member.
Which is in conflict with the Quran. But Erdogan doesn't understand that. I don't know whether Fethullah Gulen understands it too. You're in conflict with the Quran.
There are other forces working within the Muslim world besides the power of Islam. There are movements such as nationalism, secularism, liberalism. Are those ideologies foreign to the Muslim, or they can be compatible with the Islamic world?
Once upon a time, we witnessed people entering into Islam in large numbers, and our hearts were very happy. We now live in an age in which people are leaving in large numbers. They still have Muslim names, but essentially they've left Islam. They're only holding on to the shell, the external framework. The internal substance is gone. And this is not unique to Islam. It's happening with Christians as well. It's happening with Jews as well. It's an age in which a divine plan is unfolding, in which all of mankind are being tested, all of mankind. And you are separating those who are made of gold from those who are made of dust. The one who is made of gold will hold on to the truth, regardless of the price he has to pay. The one who is made of gold will have eyes with which to be able to see and recognize when the truth is being challenged, when the truth is being taken away. The one who is made of gold, if he has to give up and withdraw from society and go and live in the mountainsides where rain falls and take with him some sheep and goats in order to preserve the truth, the religion, he will do it. The rest of mankind are like dust. You just sweep it away into the garbage bin. It's not just the world of Islam, it's everybody.
In one of your messages to the European Muslims after some terrorist attacks, you recommended to the Muslims in France to leave France. Why?
Those who cannot practice your religion in freedom should make hijrah, should migrate. If France says that a woman cannot cover her head with the hijab, shame on France for that, shame on France. Égalité, fraternité. Huh? Where is the French ethics when you prohibit a Muslim woman from covering her head? What should she do? Answer, she should hold on to her religion rather than hold on to France. Okay? But there are those who will differ with me. And I certainly don't want to argue with them. No. If you want to give up your religion to live comfortably in France, that's your choice. And I'm not going to argue with you. You can give up your religion to live comfortably in France. That's your choice. But if I want to hold on to my religion, which I cannot do while resident in France, then what should I do? Answer, I should migrate. If I cannot leave France to go back to Algeria, go back to Morocco, then what can I do? I have said it I don't know how many times. Leave the cities of France and go to the remote countryside and try to live in a way that is withdrawn from society. And there the Lord God can protect you and help you so that you can hold on to your faith while this evil storm is blowing.
Are the terrorist attacks that we are witnessing in the last few years in Europe are actually false flag attacks organized by the secret services of the Western countries?
Oh yes, there's no doubt about that. There's abundance of evidence about that, yes.
It is funny that all the terrorists usually leave their identification cards and passports.
It's become funny now, that's right. It's become funny now. It's like a joke.
People are laughing to it.
Those who have eyes with which to see are laughing at it. It's so funny. But there are others who...
A lot of Muslims are speaking about Mosque of Al-Aqsa being in danger because of the plans to rebuild the Second Temple. Do you think that Israel and Jews will want to build actually the Second Temple?
There are several things that the state of Israel will have to accomplish if it is to claim to be holy Israel of David and of Solomon. One of them is that they have to rebuild the temple of Solomon because they do not accept the Masjid al-Aqsa to be the temple of Solomon. How they're going to do it, I don't know. But on that day when that masjid is destroyed, which we anticipate, what is left of the world of Islam is suddenly going to rise up as a formidable force in the world. Among the things that Israel will have to do in order to convince the Jews that this is holy Israel is to wage a big war of territorial expansion to encompass the biblical frontiers of the state, from the river of Egypt, which is the river Nile, to the river Euphrates. So Israel has to launch a ground war, not just air and naval, to take the whole of the eastern delta of Egypt. Yes, Israel can't do that at this time. Israel has to do something to divide the house of Islam, set them to fight with each other before Israel could do that. That's why they're lusting for Sunni Shia civil war. Among the things that Israel has to do to convince the Jews that this is holy Israel is to get rid of the paper money and electronic money and bring back gold and silver coins as money. Because the temple in Jerusalem minted its own gold and silver coins. I hope the Christians of the Balkans would listen to me. Yes, the temple in Jerusalem minted its own gold and silver coins. Yes, so Israel has to bring back gold and silver coins as money. There are several other things that Israel has to do, but we don't have the time to speak about it.
One of the last questions that I would like to ask is the question of Kurdistan. Is the goal of the creation of Kurdistan something that serves the goals of the Zionists?
Any people who are oppressed must be supported and to liberate them from oppression. And those who are oppressing them must be condemned. That's the substance of religion. The Kurdish people have been oppressed by all. And there is no ambiguity about that. Then why should we not respond now and support the Kurdish people in the struggle for liberation from oppression? Answer. If you take weapons from Santa Claus and you take US dollars from Santa Claus, Would that be a valid jihad or would that be a bogus jihad? It's a pity that the leadership of the Kurdish people are in wrong company today. But the fact is that they are an oppressed people. And if they could get rid of the wrong company, they have to be supported in the struggle for liberation from oppression. And